one of the interesting things that we can watch on our webcams is over time, you know, again, the maturation and the growth of cubs. Sometimes we even get to see how their dispositions and, you know, sort of their personalities develop within the first couple years of their life. And this is a yearling cub. It belongs to the mother bear that's fishing the lip of the waterfall. At least one of these bears is, I think, is a male. The other one is probably a female, and I'm not sure which one we're looking at right now. Determining the sex of cubs is pretty difficult. Just because, you know, you can't see any of the important parts that would tell you a male from a female bear at their age. Oh no. Oh. And number 402 just fell off the waterfall, and I missed it looking at that cub. So that's the mother of the two cubs on top of the waterfall. You can see that you know, she's coming out pretty wet. She's going to go back to her cubs. She's jaw popping. That was a pretty stressful event for her. So those rocks are very slippery. I've been up on that waterfall, of course, when I'm allowed to do so and there aren't any bears here. You know, so sometimes in very early June, maybe like in the third week of August or something like that, when we have very few bears, if any bears using the river. The pool of the water is very strong. The rocks are covered with algae, so you really have to know where to place your feet. And if you're the bears, when they're trying to fish for salmon on the lip of the waterfall, they often you know, don't really shift their position very much because they know that it's very slippery. And 402 may be responding to the approach of you know, 856, who again is still following that female, number 289, small blondish, dark blonde female. So she's the one moving downriver. 856 is standing still at the island right now. And 856 may want that spot in the jacuzzi. 747, he's just moving right out of the way. 747 is a very dominant bear, but not as dominant as 856. And 402 has decided, you know what, I'm going to take another chance, test my skill on top of the waterfall. And you can see she's virtually back in the exact same position that she was. But just one little slip means that she may get down into that plunge pool. Usually when that happens, I don't see the bear in the jacuzzi, you know, attacking the one that fell in. Sometimes I've seen bears that when they fall off, like 402, they'll dive. They might feel fish in the water right there, and they'll dive underneath trying to get it. And diving is one of those techniques that we don't often see, but number 402 is one of the few bears that will try it. And both of her cubs right now are back on the edge of the waterfall. If you want to determine the sex of the cubs, you're watching the webcam in the future, watch them closely to pee. Because when they urinate, the females will pee out behind them, and a male bear will urinate straight down between its hind legs. So that might be the easiest way to determine the sex of these cubs. And these are number 402s. This is her fourth or fifth litter. You can find that specific information in the Bears of Brooks River ID book. Just look for the link on explore.org below the comments on the Bear Cam pages for the Bears of Brooks River ebook. You can download that for free. You can see most of these other bears are sitting and just being patient. And that's certainly a characteristic of virtually all bears. If they learn that a fishing strategy, for instance, is going to give them success if they sit and wait, then they're going to do that. And the bear that we're looking at right now, I don't often see her fishing that spot, and this is number 410. She's probably the oldest bear we have on the river right now. 28 years old, we believe. The average lifespan of a brown bear is about 20, but they can live much longer than that. The oldest brown bears documented on Brooks River here were over 30 years, believed to be over 30 years old when we last saw them. And I'm recognizing 410 based on her disc-shaped face, her coat color overall. She has a slight droopy lip as well. And you can see that number 83 is actually not trying to displace her. He will often fish in that spot. So he's the bear with the wound on his rump and the healing, or almost completely healed wound on his left shoulder. That's a spot that he likes to fish. And right now he probably just doesn't think, it's worth the effort to displace 410. If he was hungrier, I bet he might try to do that. But bears, again, change their behavior based on a lot of factors, not the least of which is just how hungry they are. An 856 who was in the plunge pool below us in that jacuzzi is now eating a fish. Let's take a look at that. This is, I think, number 7 for him in the past hour. There's a lot of scavenging, excuse me, a lot of scavenging gulls nearby. These gulls, can't catch and eat their own salmon, so they're waiting for other predators to give them the energy that and nutrients that salmon provide. He didn't leave very much, maybe just some entrails. And the gulls are going to quickly swoop in and try to consume that as quickly as they can. Looks like 856 is moving downstream. We've been watching him periodically tonight follow a female bear that maybe he wants the opportunity to mate with. There's 3 bears downstream. As he approaches, they'll probably all react a little bit differently, maybe just avoid him. The female that he's courting might, kind of be getting used to him, so she might go about her business as she normally would. The bear on the upper left is a young adult male, youngish. He's almost, 10 years old this year. That's number 89 backpack. Raised as a cub here. And he's actually standing fairly close to his mother. And they're just ignoring each other. His mother is number 435 Holly. She's a pretty blonde bear. She gets very fat in the fall. So she's kind of at upper right. And then 856 is at center right. You can see the difference in size between these animals. Even though the blonder bears are standing further downstream, you can still see that 856 is much, much larger than them. People do ask, well, what happens when a mother bear encounters her, her grown offspring? And well, this is one example I can give you. A lot of times they just ignore one another. Sometimes they don't share a home range, though. Subadult bears, male bears especially, will disperse out of their home range. And maybe, their mother's home range, and maybe establish their own far away. But they do, recognize places with a lot of great food resources that mom takes them to, so they could come back to those spots and share a little bit of the same home range as mother. When number 89, who's on the left, was younger, I had seen 435 Holly, his mother, chase him away in interaction that I sort of interpreted as, just stay away from me, kid. I raised you, now it's time for you to go do your own thing. But right now, he's bigger than mom. And I doubt that she needs to really remind him. How tolerant they're going to be of one another in the future, I can't say. 435 is a fairly tolerant bear towards others. She doesn't usually mind the close proximity of other bears. Unless they seem to be, threatening her or her cubs, of course. And it looks like, she's moving out of the way. Maybe fishing just isn't quite good enough in the riffles right now. Maybe there were too many other bears around.